Hello! Welcome to the Dad Report, a podcast for dads, by dads, about dad stuff.
Join us as we sit down and have meaningful conversations with friends, family, and coworkers.
We will talk about life, family, and so much more while working towards a goal of creating a healthy idea of what it means to be a dad. Welcome to the Dad Report. Chad, how are you feeling tonight? This evening?
Hey,
today,
Justin. Yeah, whatever time it is. I'm feeling great. How are
Good.
you?
I am doing well, to put it in the appropriate English, because that's proper grammar. It's well. For those of you out there listening, who are like, I'm doing good. It's well. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm tired. Work is long hours and whatnot, but it's been good. We're good. So,
Just
Do
take
we-
a moment.
yeah, just take a beat, decompress and all that jazz. The weather here has been wet and rainy recently. How's it in Jacksonville?
Today was great. A little bit overcast. It is in
Okay.
the low 80s. And then I think in a couple days, the high is going to be 70. So
Oh,
that's Florida weather for you.
see, in a couple days, our high is going to be like 52. It's gonna be great.
I'll
It's
take
been
70.
been the 60s. Yeah, that beach weather. Awesome. Well, do we have any dad reports for this week?
Not for me. It's kind of
Okay.
same old at the Kirk house.
Same old, same old. Fair enough. Only thing I can say is I got the new Lego Star Wars game. So
Nice.
Megan and I are playing that, and then I also see it as an investment for when Amelia gets a little bit older.
I love it.
So good, dude.
Investment.
It's a blast. Such a good game.
I probably haven't played the last couple of those, but man, I remember when the boys were old enough to, kind of hold the controller and know what's going on. Like they loved it.
Yeah,
That was a great time.
yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a new Lego Star Wars. Like same. The levels feel the same, but definitely expanded upon. It's really cool. But other than that, I don't really have anything as far as a report. I will say, and I'll apologize in advance to listeners, I might have to step out. My kid is supposed to be asleep, and I can still hear her screaming. And I told my wife to go ahead and go and just let her self-soothe. So we're gonna try self-soothing, and then if I disappear for a little while, I'm trying to take care of her. So bear with us. But out there, those of you, if you feel like you have a dad report that you want shared on the show, please send it to us in the Discord, on Instagram, on Facebook, however you want to share that with us. We'd love to talk about whatever it is you got going on in your life and at your home here on the show. Right, Chad?
That is correct. And
Awesome.
that's a little dad report of your own. Amelia is trying to
That's true.
maybe extend the bounds of
Bedtime?
bedtime.
I didn't think that started till they were like, 6, 8, 15.
Well, the good news is once it starts, it never stops.
Good. Good. That's great. That's dandy.
So, welcome to hashtag dad life.
Woohoo.
Hey,
Oh,
so should
man.
we
Yeah, no, it's time.
should we go with the dad joke?
Oh, yes. Go ahead and share the dad joke with us.
Okay. So Justin, have you ever had the pleasure of cooking toilet paper?
No.
So my favorite way is to brown it on one side.
That's
Yes, and I
stupid.
will say I heard that this weekend from a 9-year-old and
What's his name?
I
Jude?
laughed
Oh,
really
no,
hard.
your son's older.
He's 10. Yeah,
He's
so this was
10.
from
Okay.
one of his buddies.
Okay.
And his this other kid's dad, he was probably a little bit embarrassed that the joke was told because clearly, you know how I mean, well, maybe you don't know how it is, but what will happen is you will say something behind a closed door to your child,
It's
assuming
true.
they understand, and then when you're in a gathering you will find out, oh, you know what? They thought that this was great, just put out there. So,
Yep. That's funny. I like that. Brown it on one side.
yeah.
That's great. Well, I do want to introduce a guest tonight. This is a former volunteer of mine, also a good friend. He's a buddy, lives right up the road from me, though we've yet to hang out. He coaches baseball to, I think, maybe 9-year-olds occasionally or high school guys. I don't know. He'll clarify it for us. So he is a lover of baseball. I think he played in high school for a little while. He has been in a seriously committed relationship that I won't say anything further because I don't know how much she knows or doesn't know, but I know they're talking serious things down the road. So I know he's got aspirations for being a dad, for being a husband. He is a huge family man. Please welcome Nolan Lavergne to the show.
Hey, Nolan.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
What's going on, Nolan?
Yeah, the 9-year-olds and then the high school students, they're about the same. So some
Okay.
of the stuff that I hear on a day-to-day basis ceases to amaze me. Us coaches say that we should write a book about everything that we hear on a day-to-day basis.
I bet it would be
Yeah.
full within the first year, at least.
Oh, absolutely.
That's funny. So which ones do you coach, or is it both?
So I mainly do the high school team, JV, and varsity. So
Okay.
it's 9 through 12, and then occasionally I'll help out with a summer team, and they're 10 to 11-year-olds.
Okay, so I was close and right
Yeah.
on both accounts to some extent. Very cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Nolan, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I gave a brief spiel there for a second, but give us more detail on who you are, where you're going, what you hope to be, those kind, just basic. If you were to give someone a sell yourself, sell Nolan. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. It's like sell the pencil, right? Sell you. I'm hiring you.
All right, so I'm a college student at the University of North Georgia up in Gainesville. I currently a junior there. I coach baseball. I also am I do business finance major, so I'm in the medical billing right now, and I'm also looking for a summer internship right now. Just looking forward to the next big thing. And I have a girlfriend of 2.5 years named Lauren. So things have been going strong there, and I got a pretty good family as well.
Fantastic.
Right on. So business major is what you said, right? Business
Yeah,
finance.
business finance.
What's the difference between business finance and like finance?
Just more on the well, finance is considered business finance. It's all kind of the same, and then like the business is just a broad of business, and this one is the more in depth into the world of finance.
More in depth into the world of finance. So, like my AP Econ class from high school, but on like super steroids.
Right. Yes.
And you do 4 years of it on a collegiate level.
Yep.
So, do you write papers or is it just like chart exams?
So both. I've taken some where it is write me a report on this company's finances, and
Mm-hmm.
I've also done it where you got to write it's a chart exam, or obviously the accounting ones, or like solving
Spreadsheets.
equations. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very cool.
So Nolan, if I could step in, Justin,
Yeah. Sorry,
uh,
Chad.
because I know Nolan is he's your good friend. We met about 10 minutes ago, so
That sounds about right.
so Nolan, what are you hoping to do with that major?
So I really want to do business like financial analytics, and kind of
Ooh,
look at numbers and say, okay, where can we make more money, or vice versa, where can we spend less money to kind of get the best outcome for a company. And like a business consultant would probably be one of the upper level jobs I'm looking for.
nice analytics. That's speaking my game. I enjoy analytics,
He
so
does.
lots of lots of opportunity there for sure.
You
Absolutely.
could be a podcast analyst. That's something that Chad fell in love with when I first brought him on the show and showed him all the apps and things. He was like with numbers and figures and stuff.
uh, Everybody calls me weird because I just love looking at the numbers and seeing all like how much different companies make and how to make more money.
So is that something you enjoy about baseball? Because I know people that are all into the numbers and stats and things. A lot of times those people are baseball fans because there's just so much there.
Right, absolutely. It's honestly huge for me. And like I even keep a chart of every single pitch that I've thrown to every single batter. So that way a batter
Wow.
doesn't see more than one pitch in a row or in back to back at bats as well. I know it's probably a little overkill for high school, but
No, that's
I like to
great.
just see the numbers as well.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow,
What is that?
that's cool.
What is that? What do you think about that, Justin?
I'm kind of blown away because I heard your question, Chad, and was like, oh yeah, so like Brave stats and I know Nolan's got some of that because when I used to work alongside him in youth ministry, we had a couple of different sport type events that popped up, and he and his brothers and their family at the church were all like, yeah, did you see so and so caught the reception at the whatever football sports ball game, like, and I have no idea
Sports
what's
ball.
going on. Like, it's something with football. He even did a was it a fantasy league? You did a fantasy league.
Yeah,
And
fantasy football.
I just gave control of my bracket over to Noel. I was like, this is yours, bud. And at one point, apparently I was doing pretty hot. So
Yeah.
because Nolan knew the stats. But the fact that you even keep it for your guys. Do any of your high school guys like come up to you and ask to see the stats on like what you're keeping with them?
Yeah, so our high school, I don't know, so it's Johnson High School, and we have two really good players. One's going to go play at Georgia State, and the other is going to go play at Lagrange College. And then we also have players that have never played baseball before. So these kids that have never played baseball before, they don't care. They don't. It's Spanish to them. But the ones that are going to go play at the next level are looking into these stats and saying, okay, what should I do the next time I go up to the bat or next time I go up to pitch?
That's cool, man. That's really cool. I heard you subtly mention the Lagrange college. Way to just casually call your brother out there for being a good
Right.
player on the team.
Had to give him a little shout out. He'd be
Just a
mad at
little
me if I didn't.
props. That is true. I feel like he would
Yeah.
be that way. So recently I've noticed, Nolan, on your Insta, you've been doing this like 50-day challenge where you're essentially doing like a time lapse of your day from wake up through hitting the sack. Dude, what is that challenge like? I'm kind of curious about it, and I figured I'd ask you while I got you on here, and you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just something I saw the few fellow content creators that I've seen on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, just a way for them to work on their like video editing skills and just like making videos along with helping your day-to-day life. Like it's a wake up before 8, have yourself a hour to yourself to where you don't check your phone, you don't look at anything else. You just get that hour just for you
Hmm.
and like learn a new skill for an hour, which I'm doing video editing right now. So it's just been something to one, grow the social media side, and to just have fun a little bit.
That's cool. So I got two questions. One, what video editing software are you using?
So I'm using LumaFusion on the iPad right now. I visually want to go up to Final Cut on the laptop, but I'm not $300 in right now. So
Don't so
uh,
sorry, Final Cut listeners out there, but use DaVinci. If you DaVinci Resolve is free. It's
yeah,
actually what we edit this podcast on. Hello, Orion. Welcome to the Dad Report. My cats make noises. I can hear them. I don't know how well you guys can hear them. Sorry, awkward interruption. Anyway, so DaVinci Resolve, and it's on the same level as Adobe Premiere. So one of my best friends, that's all he does. His job is video editing, and so he's the one who got me into this program because I dabbled in it in high school, then never stuck it out. If I had, I probably wouldn't be. Well, I don't know if I'd be on the show, but I would probably be somewhere else with my life. Missed a calling. But yeah, I would say, dude, like it's free, it's powerful. Even some of the guys out there in Hollywood are using DaVinci. I forget, somebody recently did a shout out to what films had used it for, even if it's just a small part. Like I think the new Dune movie used DaVinci. The Batman, no, but there's a couple guys out there, some filmmakers they're using it. Now they're paying for the studio, like the super studio version, but the free version is just as powerful. And honestly, for just starting out and dabbling, like the features, you're not even gonna notice that you're not paying for it. So it's cool, man.
I'll definitely have to look into that one.
Yeah. And I can send you stuff after and chat with you offline about it because I love video editing. I do have two YouTube channels technically. One's dead, but it's still there with all my videos on it. So if you get creepy enough, you can find it. But the other question I had, so
Way to sell your YouTube channel.
yeah. Well, that's all the videos I made from like high school. Like they're all stop motion Lego videos, and they're just they're cringy and they're old and yeah. Which means there is a team of middle school students out there who are probably searching deep and wide for that content. Anywho, I'm not selling that. So the second one I heard, Nolan, this one's a little more serious. You mentioned like content creators, following them along. You saw this challenge, growing social media. So what is this relationship then between like your business analyst major or business finance major and then social media? Like, is this a tool that would help you market yourself for a future employer? Is this something else that you're interested in and maybe want to pursue this route instead? Like, I'm curious where this ties together. Maybe that's just me thinking like traditional terms where it's you graduate business analyst, you get hired at a big firm, and then we never see you again. Maybe the new wave of business finance is social media. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's so I definitely want to do the business finance full time. That's my number one route. But I think just with the way the world's going right now, everything's on social media. You you don't meet a person without looking up, seeing what their Instagram is or seeing who they are online. And I just think that having a good social media platform is huge, and it could also lead to other opportunities as well. Because one of the things with business finance is like real estate. So if I wanted to get my name out there for real estate, having a social media platform with that would be huge.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Um, that's actually a good for younger people listening to the show. Like employers totally look at social media, and they were saying that even when I was coming up, where it's like careful what you post on Facebook because it'll come back to bite you in the
Oh yeah.
butt, and it can. Actually, it did at work. My coworkers pulled up. They found like this 13-year-old photo of me, and they're like, "Oh, look at Justin." So yeah, careful what you post, little ones. That's cool though, man. That's cool. I love that you're exploring that and growing it. It's definitely become a tool now more than it really has been a social platform per se.
Absolutely, yeah, and I just think it's just going to grow from here as well.
Yep, for sure. Well, talk to us about your family life. So I know I mentioned one brother, and then yeah, like talk to us. What's that relationship look like? You're both his brother and you're his coach. Is there a tension there? Is there a friction there often on the field?
Yeah, so currently he's not playing right now. He got hurt the other day, but
Lame.
he yeah, no. So but sometimes when in the heat of the game, like I'll be screaming at him or he'll be back and forth or and he'll be like he won't listen to me
Mhm.
because we've known each other our whole lives. So I'll have to say, hey, I'll grab my other coach and say, hey, can you go talk to him or something like that. But usually he's not the one we're having to worry about. So I oftentimes don't have to talk to him and he kind of just knows what he needs to do and he just goes out there and does it. When other kids, they're not overly sure of what they need to do.
So he's able to kind of self-coach to an
Right.
extent. But like you said,
And
oh, go ahead.
he's able to help me coach as well because we've been through the same programs. So when
Mhm.
there's 20 something kids on a team, he's able to reach out and say, hey, this is what you're really supposed to be doing.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say you mentioned that he and another player are the better players on the team or more
Yeah.
aspiring. And I think part of the reason why maybe they stand out, like you mentioned, like they come and ask you about their stats or ask about different things. The reason why they stand out is partly love for the game. So yes, they have you guys as a coach, but I know people who really invest themselves into the sport, they know the instant they messed up, typically how they messed up. Um, so that might be, maybe that's part of that. Like he knows how to, like why he needs to go out there and fix whatever mechanic.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been doing it since the day he could walk. So he's been definitely doing it a long time to where he can know what's right and wrong.
So even though you're saying that he's kind of, able to, kind of lead himself on the baseball field and self-correct, um, still to have your brother be your coach,
My brother
that
would kill me.
requires that that really requires a very special type of relationship. And that, I would say, not even your brother, but just a family member, somebody really close to you, to be able to, that's why they say, they tell people, oh, don't mix business with pleasure,
That's
right?
true.
But you're, or don't do business with family,
With
right?
family or close
Um,
friends.
so I'm curious, like, what was it? What do you attribute that to? The fact that you and your brother can be, um, kind of have that relationship and still be, that on the field relationship where you're coaching him, you're telling him what to do.
Yeah, and to add one more onto that, my dad is the booster club president of the baseball team. So
Wow.
it's all three Lavergnes right there at every single practice and every single game. So it's we're all together.
Oh
That's
But
man.
great.
I definitely don't think that we'd be able to do it if we weren't as close as we are. Um, During our younger childhood, which I'm sure we'll get into, we had a lot of challenges where we were able to grow together. And he's my best friend. And I'm sure I'm probably his third or fourth best friend. But we,
Give him time to
we
lose some of
always,
those high school
yeah,
friends, man.
yeah, we're always close, and we always love being with each other. So we're actually heading to the beach together tomorrow, so that'd be exciting.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Very fun. That's cool. Well, I mean, go ahead. Let's dig in then, and to kind of further flesh out Chad's question,
Yeah.
for that special bond and relationship. Because, my brothers and I have been through some stuff, but I still think like if I were to be like, hey, I'm gonna like, so let's say Brendan, the one who's in the army, which Nolan, you've met him.
Yep.
Like if I were to be like, I'm gonna be your drill sergeant, which there's no way I'd ever be like, I'm not in the army, I can't do that. But if that were the situation, right? I'm pretty sure he'd be like begging whoever's above me to be like, can I switch platoons? Like, I'm not doing it with this guy. We've just always had too much of like either a competitive rub or we're both a little too strong willed. Like I think my way is right, and then he thinks his way is right. Like even when I go out and play disc golf with him, which we're pretty casual about, we'll still get super competitive. And you're throwing the disc wrong, blah blah. Like it's bad, man. It's like I get mad, he laughs at me. It's that kind of stuff. So dig in. As much as you're willing to share, like. Is it just maybe just because it's just the two of you and like there were three of us? So I wonder if that dynamic is different. I know Chad's one of three. So like
Yep.
walk us through as much as you're willing of some of that childhood stuff that allowed you and your brother and your dad even because I mean my dad coached when I was like 10, but it was like not even a serious baseball team. But even that had its ups and downs at times. So like
Mm.
if, as much as you're willing, like walk us through that.
Yeah. So when I was younger, when I was in high school, my mom unfortunately passed away after a few years of battling back and forth between a divorce and alcohol problems. She ended up passing away. So for the longest time, it was just me, my brother, and my dad. It's
Mm,
all we had. And like kind of with the dad thing, I grew so much respect for him. Like even like stuff that I had no idea was going on,
mm-hmm.
and like I look back today and like he was just a bombshell for all of us. Like he took on just everything that was coming forth, just about different like the lawsuits and different situations that were happening, but you would have never guessed it in our home because he was able to just to take all of those bullets for all of us. And looking back now, it's like wow, like there's so much I didn't even know was happening that he was taking on all by himself. So definitely that respect for him has helped us grow. Now we definitely still have our arguments, the father son arguments,
Sure.
but it's definitely been us three. We're really close together. He got remarried to Wendy. She's been awesome. She's got 3 awesome kids, and her grandma, who also lives with us, who's amazing. We wouldn't be able to survive without her. So, but with Peyton, just through that time, it was dad was at work. I had to drive him to practice, or he came to my practice. So we were always there together. And like, if I we never missed a baseball practice, we were always there, and we were able to use baseball as kind of an escape from what we were dealing with in our household. So I think us doing that together really brought us together and made the relationship as strong as it is today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. That's that kind of like bonding. What's an appropriate way to put this? It's basically like bonding while going through a trauma. And so I almost like baseball was y'all's saving grace.
Right.
And so like to like if baseball, I feel like would ever collapse, some of y'all's relationship might look a little bit different. I don't think entirely, like not crazy amounts, but that was where, it's those drives to baseball practices where you're having deep conversations, where you're asking each other the young high school guy questions, whether it's about your parents or it's about school, girls, math, I don't know. And I didn't have as many of those. Like my brothers and I, we bickered because I wasn't up at the same time that he wanted to be up in an ROTC, so we didn't get some of that. But that's cool, man. That's really cool. Chad saved me. I feel like I'm rambling.
Yeah. So are you kind of like the typical? I don't know about, maybe typical is the wrong word, but kind of maybe stereotypical older brother where you're the firstborn. You're kind of, and with some of the stuff you shared with your parents, and you having to like drive your brother to practice and that kind of stuff. Are you almost, and this might be a little bit of a strong word, but are you almost like another parent in some ways? Did you guys have that dynamic at all?
I don't think so. Just because we were still close in age. The only difference was
Okay.
I had a car and he was still 13 or 14.
Right.
So we were able to just like grow as we were both dealing with that. Um, but I mean, we still had our bickers, playing ping pong, screaming and yelling,
I still haven't
doing
played ping
whatever.
pong with you guys. I remember I had one time had
Yeah,
an invite, so
yeah, you gotta come over.
come
It'd be
on,
fun.
bro. Yeah, I need to. I
Yeah,
stink, but hey, I'll try.
yeah, we get pretty competitive over here.
They do. They really do. Um,
Well, that's awesome. I love that. So as you're talking, I'm thinking back to my older brother, because he was much more serious with sports, and I would say if one of us was the gifted athlete, it was my older brother. And so I have memories of him, helping me with soccer. We go to play tennis, and he would give me some pointers. Not always the most patient individual, but and I know you say that you guys are close in age. Me and my brother, I'm the middle one, so I'm 2 years apart from each of them. But even with such a short amount of age difference, I still kind of had that dynamic going on where like I was looking up to him in certain ways,
Mm.
and I bet there's some of that going on. I mean, I've known you all of what, 35 minutes now. So I'm an expert, but but that's great. That's great, and I think that's something not to take for granted too, because
Mm.
I think, I think a lot of people would hope that they could have that with their siblings. So I think that's great that y'all have such a close bond like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's definitely nice. Like I get people asking me all the time, was like, what age did y'all come so close? And I'm like, it just kind of happened, because they're like, well, my sons, they won't ever stop arguing. And I'm like, we were always that close.
yeah. And some siblings just are like you're definitely not. Don't think like you're alone. not to rob you of like your special. You guys are definitely
Yeah.
special and unique. You are more rare than common, but I do know there are other like sibling pairs out there where you're just like you meet them and you're like, what? You get along? What? Like it's wild. So, and some of that just comes with age, and then some of it is just going through stuff together. So that's cool. Well, talk to us about your dad. Like, what's his role been in you and Peyton's lives? Even as you maybe let you know that you mentioned him remarrying Wendy, and Wendy is awesome. So if she listens to this, Wendy, I do remember you. You were awesome. And Micah and the whole crew, like those guys. I loved getting the chance to serve you guys at Mill Creek. It was a blast. Miss those days for sure. So talk to us about your dad. And just what he means to you, the things that like you've noticed where you're like, man, that is just like when I become a dad someday, these are things that I want to model, right? Like we want to promote healthy fatherhood here on the show. And I've never had any doubts that your dad wasn't, from what I could see, that he hasn't been a healthy father. I mean, he was there with you at 6 a.m. helping us push chairs up and down that sloped floor at Mill Creek. So, I mean, he was a cool man. I should say,
Yeah.
he is a cool man.
No, absolutely. Growing up, we were always pretty close. He was always my baseball coach or assistant coach of some sort. But so we were always together. But I think we really became close when everything with my mom happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was just he was our saving grace. He was everything for us. He wouldn't stop at anything to make sure that we were okay, whether that was him working 2 jobs or doing whatever he had to do to put himself second or third in our case, to have both me and my brother having everything that we needed. If we ever needed a new pair of shoes, no matter how broke we were, he was still able to make sure that happened. And he never misses a game. He always makes sure that we're at practice. Even though the world was shattering around him, he was able to be our rock. And if we didn't know where we were going to sleep that night, like he could figure it out. He was definitely our shield for everything that's happening. And even to this day, or like I just have a day where I just miss my mom. I'm able to go talk to him and have those conversations with him, just deep one-on-one conversations, just about stuff that we went through and just how amazing a person she was, even though some of the things towards the end may have differed a little bit. But he was always just that rock, and that's definitely something I want to implement. I mean, no matter how bad of a day you were having, he was able to make you laugh.
That's awesome.
So cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. So he recently, or I guess not recently, about four years ago, remarried Wendy. And she's been awesome. She's a cook. She's
She
an
does make
awesome
good food.
mom to have. She's got her own little bakery, Southern Bake Charm. Unfortunately, she's not baking right now. She was diagnosed with breast cancer a little while ago.
Oh man.
So she's going through some of those surgeries right now. So, and even through that, like even my dad through those with the stepkids as well, like he's there to take all of it for us. He takes the blunt of everything. And I think even down a few years later, I'll be able to look back and see just all the stuff that he did for us.
Yeah. I think it's a great attitude that you have, that you already know that you're going to look back and see even more than you do now. I think that the fact that you look for the things he's doing for you guys it speaks to your character as well as speaks to your dad's character, that's a thing that you have come to expect, and something that that you rely on, that you're trusting in. The fact that you get to have one-on-one conversations, and your dad is, even though things maybe towards the end with your mom were a little bit on the grittier side, like he's still reaffirming that she was awesome and that she was your mom and like all that stuff. Like that's huge, man. And then that he's giving the same attention to your integrated family, as it were, just like he's giving to you guys. So that's, dude, what a like, I don't know, Chad. I'm feeling like like the word I like hearing, like that's a leader. That's what a leader looks like. I'm getting
Yeah,
choked up,
Yeah.
man. I'm like making myself
yeah,
cry
for
over here.
sure.
Whew.
So you mentioned, you mentioned that you're really like part of a blended family now, right? So your dad
Mm,
remarried, and Wendy, uh,
mm.
has a few of her. I think you said three of her own children. So,
Yes. Yep.
so you know, kind of focusing in on the dad side. What what are some things that you can see that your dad did to really help with some of those blended family issues? Justin, I don't know if we've talked a whole lot. I mean, I know we have some people that have come on the podcast that have come from blended families, but I don't know how much we've really
We
talked
haven't really
about.
talked about blended family. Yeah. So Nolan, you're first. And honestly, at some point, Chad and
Yeah.
I should talk about our own experiences because we also come from
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
and I
Yeah.
know my wife did, Shauna. She was on, and she has
she
some
did a little
experiences
bit.
too.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious, just from your perspective, like what are some things that stand out to ways that your dad really helped for that to be successful?
Yeah. So I definitely think at first it was obviously challenging, like it is with any family. Like even with Wendy, I was for like probably the first few months, I was like, I'm not calling her mom. Like,
Yeah.
Mm,
no, like
yeah.
she will not be my mom. And she just both of them were there, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you don't need to. They're like, that's totally fine. There's no need for you to. And Wendy was just always there. My dad was just always there for those three kids as well. And just kind of showed them through every step of the way. It's like, look, I'm here for you guys whenever you guys need it. And I just think over time, they started to build that trust with him as well and just continued to grow. And he's like, look, I'm not leaving. I know that they had a hard time with their father as well.
Mm.
So he's like, look, I'm not going to leave you guys. And even through the
Wow.
situation that we're in today with my stepmom, he's like, look, if anything happens, like, I'm going to take care of everybody. Like, I'm not leaving. Nothing's going to change. We will always be there for you through everything. And so I just think him, like, for me in my life, he's always been a rock. And I think he's starting to be that for everybody else as well. I think everybody's starting to realize, like, he's not going anywhere. No matter if it's a dumb question, serious question, needing one on one time, he's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be there for us,
Mm-hmm.
which I think has been huge.
Yeah.
That's great.
I had a question come up while you were talking, Nolan, while you were mentioning everything that he's doing for you guys. What do you think, if you had to say your dad had a secret sauce to the way, because what I'm hearing, like if he's the rock for all of you, man, how is he doing it? Like, what's his secret sauce? How does he keep himself? Because I also know that your dad works for like one of the greatest soft drink companies in the world, right?
Right.
And so like, and he's not just like a delivery driver. Like, he was giving us like experimental product kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
So
like,
he
Yeah.
worked for Pepsi?
no,
I'm just
wrong.
kidding.
Coke.
Sorry. Sorry.
Can't say that.
don't speak that name in our house.
I have no loyalty. I just thought I'd be difficult.
Yeah, you said that his
Yeah.
house is bugged if they hear it. It's but yeah. So like,
No.
what's because that's
Secret
that's
sauce.
that's a high, yeah, that's a high, high stress, high level job.
Mm,
Lots of focus and energies there, and then he comes home and he's got you, he's got Peyton, never's missing a game. Then he's got the other three plus Wendy, on top of everything else going on, plus grandma's in the house. So
yeah.
like, man,
Mm,
how's he doing it? Like, what's if you had to say, speaking on your dad's
yeah.
behalf, and if you want, you can be like, he can just come on the show. We'll take him. But like, what's the secret sauce, man?
Yeah. So I would say one word that like would describe him would be persistent. He's just persistency. And I think, I mean, even today was a great example. Like he said, when we went all the way down to Atlanta and all the way back, that in itself is a long day.
Mm-hmm.
And let alone having to work during that time was I mean, he's very exhausted, but he came home and he was at dinner laughing with us, asking how everybody's day was. He was always persistent. And he was like, you know what, like everybody had like a long day, it was gloomy outside, it's pouring down rain, let's go on a Dairy Queen run. So like he's just always there.
Yeah.
and like always that persistent. No matter, I'm sure he wanted to go home, just go to bed and sleep, but he was always there, and he'll always be there.
That's cool. Persistent. I love that. Man.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a big word for being a dad too. That's
that
huge.
is that is a good one. I was persistent in letting my child self-soothe. She's quiet
Dude,
now.
you like you talk about that, but that can be a tough thing, especially for a new parent, that hasn't done it before. It's like, "Oh my gosh, if I let my kid scream for more than
Yeah.
5 seconds in their crib, am I gonna cause like,
Damage.
emotional damage,
Yeah.
right?"
Oh my goodness. I wanted to say the meme just now.
I know.
It's probably inappropriate.
Yeah, probably.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just search emotional damage into YouTube and you're welcome. But no, you're right. Like Megan and I have to set like a timer. Like when Amelia's like losing it, we'll be like, all right, we'll give her 15 and then we'll go in there. Because at that point we figured she's probably got something. So that's what I was watching my watch and she's quiet now. So I didn't have to step away. But yeah, persistence. That's where do you think your dad learned that from? Because I don't think persistence,
Yeah.
there is I think persistence is the learned, that's about to sound super philosophically deep, so it could be very wrong. But it's this kind of learned trait that finds its root in maybe a default stubbornness. Like I think people are born with a certain level of stubborn, but then you can grow it into the healthy attribute that is I am stubborn in persisting. I'm going to continue to persist, not let something keep me down. And I feel like that has to be learned or witnessed, and like you watch it. Like I don't think I'm as persistent in some things as I probably could be, but I've also never been a very stubborn person. Like I can be malleable with $20, but so like where do you think, if you had to say your dad, is that like from his dad, like where do you think that comes from?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say that it's definitely from two people. I'd say it's from his family and from his relationship with Jesus as well.
Okay.
Just being that, like, I think he's gotten a lot from the Word, and he's often like going. I mean, we're going to church every Sunday, and he's oftentimes like reading into the Word and learning how to be a better father through that. So I think that was a huge help. And I think his family background as well. I know his mom she's just the most caring person in the world, and his dad was also, never missed a game, was always there whenever you need him. He's one call away, and he definitely never missed a Georgia football game either. So
There we are. Go
Uh-oh.
Dogs.
yeah, yeah.
That's good. No, I think that's
That's,
you had more?
no, I would say that's a trait that's gone through all of us now.
That's good. No, that's a good
Yeah,
thing, man.
yeah, yeah.
We hear a lot of people talk about like generational curses, and we don't give enough time to generational blessings. And it sounds like in your family, you have that generational blessing of persistence and dependency and showing up and being available, right? Like his dad was there for him. And so your dad's carried that to you guys. And I mean, God willing, you guys carry that to your kids. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that I want to be when I'm a father, and that's one thing I'm trying to show to Lauren, whether she thinks I'm good at it or not. But like it's just no matter how bad a school day was, whether I bombed a test or if I had a bad day at work or a bad game, I'm always gonna be that same guy to you and always treat you with the same love and respect.
Mm,
Yeah, that's huge.
that
I
is
like that.
huge. Definitely. Well, I mean, I was going to ask you. That's kind of our next question as we start to slowly wrap this thing up. What are your future goals for marriage and fatherhood, man? So you're showing Lauren consistency, but like, when you look down that road, whether it's sooner or it's later, like, what are you setting as markers for yourself?
Yeah, so I definitely I'm getting close to graduating college, so I think that'll help the next step to getting married to Lauren as well. I think
Oh,
well, I
you hear
would
that,
like to
Lauren?
have no, I won't let her see this, don't worry.
Justin, you
Yeah.
need to get this to
I
her.
was about to say, I think I follow her on Instagram. I'll find a way.
Oh yeah, I know her and Megan are pretty close, so that's gonna be tough.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely I know we want to go move. I think we want to go have our own like alone time for a little bit, a few years, and then I definitely want to be a dad one day. Um, whether that's boys or girls, I'd love to be the coach or just be the father that I always have had. And that's kind of one reason that I'm a coach today is my father and like all the coaches that I had around when I was younger made me who I am today. And that's who I want to be to somebody else. And that's who I want to be to my child one day.
It's awesome.
Yeah, agreed.
That's cool. Chad, do we
Very
have
cool.
any words of wisdom for him as he starts taking those journeys into senior year of college and eventually marrying Lauren? And yeah, definitely don't rush into having kids.
No, yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's very wise. That's one thing that we did as well. We decided we were going to wait, a couple years after being married before we even, did any planning or anything for kids. And that was not my idea. That was my wife's idea, but it was probably the best thing we could have done for our marriage.
Second piece of advice that Chad did not just say was listen to your wife.
that one was implied.
It was an implied advice.
Yeah. Well, I was 21 years old when I got married, and she's like, "Hey, I think we should spend some time getting to know one another. Let's give it a couple years." And I said, "That sounds great. That's a great idea. I'm not taking credit for that, for that idea. That was hers." And so I think it's great that you say that. And Justin, the one thing that's kind of going through my mind right now is just like, so your dad is kind of that, think of him as that first generation, and then you grow up under that, and just, uh, if I had anything to share, it would be make sure that you're intentional about carrying that forward, because I think I think it's easy for us, you talk about the generational blessings, Justin, and I think it can be easy and kind of second nature for us to just like assume some of these things. And that's why I really wanted to call out like the relationship you have with your brother and with your dad too. Like those are just some amazing things. And yeah, I would definitely
Nurture
say,
those.
pass those on to the next generation. I think it's awesome that you have those relationships, and those are big blessings, Justin, like you were saying, and just do whatever you can to pass those things on. I know with me, I really try to, just say, hey, I want to take what I was given and improve it a little bit and pass that along. So, yeah, man, it sounds like you've got a great family, a great dad as an example who loves the Lord, and man, I don't know that we can ask for much more than that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's stellar.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thankful for him every day. Probably don't tell him enough, but
Well, you will after this.
yeah.
That's cool. Well, buddy, I don't think I've got anything else for you other than I'm proud of you, and I'm glad that I'm back to be in a vicinity where I can kind of help walk along with you as you allow it, or even that Chad and I can be here, with you. And you're in the Discord now, so we're only ever a message away for that community. But dude, thanks for coming on and for sharing about your dad and your family and Peyton. Give him a nuggie for me. I don't even, yeah. So, dude, that's just so cool, man. That's just so cool. Thanks for sharing, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank y'all for having me on. It's been awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was a great conversation, and honestly, I didn't know how it was going to go, considering I met you 5 minutes before we started, but this was great, and thanks for giving us a little bit of a window into into you and where you come from and all that. I think this was great.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, with that, unless you got anything else you want to add, Nolan,
No, that's it.
and then we are going to blast out of here, as it were. And don't forget, people, that the best way to cook toilet paper is to brown it on one side.
Yes. And on that note,
we out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can support us by sharing the show with your friends and family. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
Want more of The Dad Report? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and even join the community over on Discord. Don't forget to send us your dad jokes for a chance to be featured on the show.
Remember the words of Billy Graham about fatherhood. A good father is one of the most unsung, unpraised, unnoticed, and yet one of the most valuable assets in our society.
So if you are a dad, we're cheering you on. If you have a dad, be kind to him. And if you know a dad, tell him about our podcast.